Picking up from where we left off last time, a cigarette is a public display of self-hatred. Metaphorically speaking, many of us have cigarettes in our life. And what I mean by that is there is no one in the West who picks up a cigarette for the first time thinking that it will not be detrimental. We always know that it will hurt us, but for some reason, we pick it up anyways. For many of us, human beings have this internal thing that makes us seek our own ruin, seek our own destruction, which is why self-love, self-care, self-focus is so important, and it's something we must refresh every day. I find it curious that some people rail against those whom they would consider narcissistic or conceited or self-focused or self-interested, and I know that they hate that self-love because they don't love themselves. They hate to see you loving yourself because they don't love their self. And they will call you all kinds of names, narcissistic, cocky, arrogant, what have you. When in reality, your narcissism doesn't affect them, right?
You have a baller alert.
Baller alert! The Son of God. Right, sorry for the tardiness, Mr. Saint, but here is my homage and love. I appreciate that. Marquette, what helps you stay sane and ambitious in your life? In terms of sanity, peace, sanity and peace being, cousins, I like to find silence. Often, the world is expressing its mental illness by the fact that there's always something going. If you're at the airport, they're playing CNN. If you're in the lobby of a hotel or even your apartment building, there's a radio going. They're playing Spotify. I like silence and solitude. And so I find my peace in prayer and meditation, which I do regularly, and also exercise is prayer. So I make sure I get the holy water flowing every single morning. So that's what keeps me sane. What keeps me ambitious is knowing that I can't be like these other suckers. You dig? I look at them and I see that they are my inferiors. So we should not have the same things in life. And for that, I strive to have greater privilege. And so you must be ambitious to achieve and have those things others cannot have. Thank you for your question. Shout out to Dogmatic Sends Intuition. Now, the reason I speak about the cigarette is because there's so many things that we have which metaphorically are the cigarette in our life. It's clearly detrimental, yet we still engage in it. Sometimes the cigarette can be your girlfriend. It could be a family member. It could be a job that you should have already quit because you're too good for that job. You should have fired yourself. So you have to ask yourself tonight when you journal before bed, what cigarettes do I have in my life? Meaning things that I choose to pick up and hold on to that are destroying me. In terms of never giving up, this is something you must resolve to do regularly, because if you give up, life's going to be really hard, because I assure you, you will have to fight in life. And if your modus operandi is to give up, you're going to suffer a lot. And in fact, you notice that bullies like to pick on people who give up. They're quitters. They don't stand up. Many things in life can bully you, not just individuals. Circumstances can bully you. Institutions can bully you. Governments can bully you. You see, the peoples of the world are being bullied by governments right now, saying you can't go outside. You can't go out without that mask. Why? Because so many of us have given up and folded up. One thing I want to assure you of, don't pretend as though when a challenge comes your way, it's shocking. You shouldn't be shocked at all. You cannot dominate unless you can anticipate. I want to let you know now that in this life, there will be challenges of many varieties, loss of your wealth, ill health, death of loved ones, broken hearts, and much else. For life promises that it will be opportunity and joy, periodically interrupted by challenge. The question is, how do you behave in those times of challenge? Are you going to keep it player? Or are you going to complain and expose yourself to be weak?
Okay, we have Soul for Soul.
By the way, I need you to move a little more quickly. I gave you a pause.
Okay.
And
He said, received a Mason package and my copy of the Black Book. Looking forward to this read. I give you thanks for all the game and wisdom.
I look forward to hearing your feedback. You will enjoy the book.
And then we have East Dago Ant. Baller alert times 2. He sent $50 and then $20.
Baller alert! Dago in the building. You did.
Tuition.
You did.
And people are really liking the red. It's popping on this camera.
Oh, absolutely. We got the HD camera. See, we're always upgrading technology for you all. So, anything you put in, all of those super chats, all that stuff, it's just going to cameras, audio equipment, all this good stuff. And so, yeah, it does have the red velvet looking quite gorgeous, if I do say so myself. Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah.
And shout out to the Saint who will be wearing that nice ivory color, which is just gorgeous. Ooh, can't wait to see some diamonds on it. You did. Carrying on. Now, you'll learn the true measure of yourself in the midst of your challenge. The question is, do you fight or do you fold? You see, for one is either a fighter or a folder. Fighters don't fold sometimes.
Okay, we have Marcus McLilly sending super chat. He said, I really enjoyed hearing you talk about your Uncle Jimmy. Is there a specific story about him that really stands out to you? Peace to the saints. We talk about Uncle Jimmy quite often, I feel like.
Uncle Jimmy. There's a story in the Black Box, and I think it might have been in the chapter entitled A Real Family. And if you haven't gotten your copy on paperback on Amazon, you can do so. I think the link is in the description. There's also a low-cost copy you can get on ebook. The link is also in the description for that.
I'll put it in the chat as well.
Uncle Jimmy was a very simple, straightforward man, no nonsense. And as a young boy, I didn't understand his way. I grew to understand his way as I matured, and his way was indeed the right way. That's why he continued on in a marriage that has lasted many, many decades. He's a very masculine man. And he was also a super player. You dig? Uncle Jimmy happened to be a flight attendant. And I think he was probably one of the only heterosexual flight attendants. So he was knocking them dead. Extremely charming fellow. But I remember I used to think Uncle Jimmy was mean. And I grew to understand why he was so, what I would call as a child, mean, which was because it is the responsibility of the man to hold the standard in the family. Women are lovely creatures of kindness and consideration and inclusion. They want to love on everyone. It's a beautiful thing. Those characteristics are often opposite of characteristics like discipline, toughness, those core competencies that make a man, and those core competencies that keep the children on track and principled. So I understand why he behaved the way he did. I actually have my copy of the Black Box here because I read and reference it all the time. And so, yes, I think the chapter that talks about Uncle Jimmy the most is the chapter entitled A Real Family, which is chapter 4, starts on page 14. One thing I always consider when I experience a challenge is I always imagine that my haters are watching me in the midst of my challenge, whatever it is, whether it's an injury, it's a financial hardship, it's a family member's ill health, whatever it is. I imagine my haters are watching me, looking to see how I would react. Even when I'm boxing, if I'm in a sanctioned match or whatever the case is, I imagine my haters are there watching. I remember one time I was in Philadelphia and I had a boxing match. And remember I went down. It was actually not a punch. I was fighting a southpaw and our feet got tripped up. So our feet got tripped up and I went down just from the feet, not from an actual punch. The ref ruled that it was not a knockdown. I was not punched. I was tripped. But in my head, I was thinking the judges sometimes make up their own minds on what happened. I remember when I got out of the ring, I won unanimous decision. But once I got out of the ring, Bridget was like, oh, I saw you go down. And I was wondering what was going through your head, because boxing, of course, is a psychological pursuit as well. And I was like, I didn't even get hit. But I was thinking, I know the judges might have looked at that as though I did get hit, depending on where they were viewing it from. And so in my head, as soon as I went down, then I said, now I got to catch a body. Now I got to commit murder. Now it's murder or suicide. I'm going to kill this man, or I'm going to kill myself trying to kill him. But somebody got to go, which is to say, a fighter, if that's what you really have made yourself into, when things get challenging, you become more vicious and more determined.
And I'm just going to say this for all the haters. I have been to every single one of your boxing matches, and you have won by unanimous decision, or the corner of the other person is thrown in the towel, or knockout. You have won every single one. That is all true.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, we have Wade. He sent $20. He said, keeping my word about catching this live from our consultation. You talked to Wade this morning.
Indeed.
If you meet Marquett one-on-one, this man oozes charisma, hustle, and leadership. I commend you for being an honorable man and strengthening the assassin. Peace to the saints.
Peace to the saints. Thank you, Wade. I truly do appreciate that sincere compliment. It was a pleasure to make your acquaintance, and Wade's a very educated gentleman, and I'm always honored to speak with great men who are wise, who have good skills, and I know will be successful. And it's my privilege to be a part of that. So I'm looking forward to see what you can do. You did.
Okay, we have little Jimmy.
Let Jimmy boy go on now.
He said, what do you say to those dating coaches who say you need to make a woman finish in order to satisfy her?
Well, one, I don't say anything to them. Let Jimmy, what you'll find out in life is that you have to keep your eyes on the prize. So I don't waste any time debating, really. If you encounter me in daily life, I'm a lot less talkative than you might expect based on YouTube. You see, when I'm here, I'm lecturing to people who want knowledge. And in the rare instances where you see me debating, I'm not debating to persuade the other person. I'm debating so that people who are neutral or uninformed can get some new perspective. I'm just utilizing the other person as a springboard for my ideas and utilizing them to bring humor to a situation so that people can get the information. But with regards to these dating coaches, number one, I don't consider myself a dating coach. And number two, when you look at these guys, most of them are laughable. You don't see any level of charm, no real sophistication. There's no appeal. You don't ever look at them and get the sense that they really get women. They mostly seem like nerds who have read some corny books. So when they're talking about women needing to orgasm, I think that's a silly thing because number one, half the time guys think women are orgasming, and that's because the women are pretending. But moreover, the small portion of your relationship will be spent on your back. What you should really be asking yourself is, are you able to make her mind orgasm? Huh? Does her mind orgasm thinking of you? If you can touch that, then you can access something that no man has ever accessed before. You see, there are many men who have accessed your girlfriend's draws, right? Because it's highly unlikely she came to you as a virgin. So with whatever experience she came to you with, there may be guys who are better endowed physically. There may be guys who are more proactive physically. But at the end of the day, beauty and sexual prowess will fade away, but what will remain is the bond you've built here in the mind. So those people are very simple and basic. I find them to be laughable, and really, I wouldn't even want to have a conversation with those kind of individuals. And truth be told, of all the real players I know, we've never even really discussed sex or techniques or anything like that. Closest we've ever gotten is saying, man, I slayed this thick one last night. That's about as far as it goes. Because at the end of the day, I mean, we're not lower animals. We're not dogs here.
People like your answer there. We have Carlos. He sent $20. He said, I was listening to one of your lectures while working out while sick and never went as hard as I went because of your energy. Appreciate you, saints.
That's right. I mean, I hope that when people listen to my message, they can hear me looking them in the face and say, stop being soft. I hope when people hear my message, they might be in a moment of weakness and then it invigorates them, because that is what my message is about. It's about you being great. And I know people might be perplexed when I say my book, my autobiography is about you. But when you actually read it, you'll find that when you get to the black box at the end of each chapter, I'm asking you to think about yourself. I'm asking you to go into your memory and into your experiences and draw strength out from what you've done in the past, because all of us have done great things.
Okay, we have Miko, he said, salute to the saints.
Peace to the saints. What you must be able to do is drive your self-talk. So, as I was saying, your self-talk and also your self-reflection. Anytime I'm encountering challenge, I'm imagining my haters there in an audience. And of course, your haters are watching closely when you are in a time of struggle. They want to see you fail. And I want to see their hearts broken. I want to see disappointment on their faces. You dig? So when I'm in a time of struggle, I imagine my haters there and I want to break their hearts. You dig? So, for example, if I come down with a cold or the flu or whatever it is, I imagine my haters sitting there like, that's why you're sick. And then me saying, I am sick. I'm about to run 13 miles and then go do it and just break their hearts.
And you did that.
And I did that. So that's what I relish. For example, I never let my haters breathe or smile. I want my foot on their neck at all times. I want my haters to be in disbelief at all times. And that's what I encourage you within you. For example, let them never see you sweat. Let them never see you weak. Let them never see you broken. Let them never see you down. Even when I was at Johns Hopkins University, I had an office on the Armstrong campus at the medical school. And I was playing basketball during my lunch break. I like to talk a little bit of trash when I play basketball. I've not played in many years because I like to focus on boxing. But anyways, when I played hard, which is if I do something, I usually do it hard. So I'm playing basketball and this cat is trying to back me down, right? So he's going hard. We're in Baltimore, right? So there's some brothers trying to back me down hard. I'm like the only legitimate professional on the court. Everyone else is like in the cafeteria staff, right? So I'm like one of the only like medical professionals who's in the hoop gym. Like everybody else is just like a hood cat who serves sloppy joes, you dig? And so this cat's trying to back me down. He's trying to back me down hard. And I just walked on and laced up my shoes. I didn't have time to stretch. I was stiff, but I wanted to get this game in before these guys left. So he's backing me down hard. He banging hard. And I'm behind him. I was like, yeah, back that ass up. You my bitch. You's a big booty bitch. Back that ass up. So I'm talking shit to him. And I'm just giving him a little bit of room because I'm trying to make him feel comfortable like he could go up for it. And I'm about to just bat it down viciously. Right? So I'm talking greasy. And then he gives me one, boom, hard one. And then we all hear a really loud pop, like a gunshot. And, all of a sudden I'm on the ground. My Achilles tendon had ripped in half, just snapped and ripped in half. Now, medical professionals say this is one of the most painful injuries. But once it's snapped, the big homie is not about to go from talking greasy to, oh, my ankle. Nah, that's not in the big homie's DNA. You dig? So when my ankle snapped, I'm on the ground. We realize that my Achilles is no more. I'm still talking shit. I was like, yo, weak ass done snap my Achilles? This the weakest motherfucker in the gym. I must not have been stretched. Hold on, somebody give me a crutch. I can still D you up. You're terrible. I'm still talking reckless. You dig? Because that's who I am. I'm not going soft because there's a challenge. Fortunately, we're on the Johns Hopkins Medical Campus, so they had wheelchairs nearby. And there's a hospital right on the campus. So anyways, they put me in a wheelchair and wheeled me out. And I was talking shit the whole way. Because when I play basketball, I talk shit. You dig? And I'm not going to go soft because there's a challenge. So there were probably any number of haters in there in that gym at the time because the way I ball and the way I talk greasy, they want to see a winner lose, of course. But I didn't give them the satisfaction. You would have never known that I was down or sad or any of that with that injury.
Okay, we're going to shout out to Brandon V. He is one that has his hat on our site, and he just supported another saint by purchasing a tennis chain that Andrew R. has listed on our site.
Word to Big Bird. That's love. Would you grab Brandon's hat? I want to show the saints if they haven't already copped one.
And then there's a super chat from Aduke, aka Duke Riches. If you want to read that one, grab the hat.
Oh, yeah. See, Brandon did cop the 5mm tennis chain from Andrew. And by the way, saints, true to my word, when people purchase things, the money goes to that guy. We've sent out tens of thousands of dollars from our accounts to the saints. You dig? So we're showing love out here. This is Brandon's hat. This is actually one I bought from him. So I think I was one of his first purchases, which I'm very proud of. It's always an honor to support folks. So you can get this hat at www.thesasn.com.
Okay, so
Peace of the Saints.
we have Duke Riches. He said, you said my name correct. And I don't know how to spell your name, so I won't. Props to you, miss. By the way, I'm the 19-year-old man from Jamaica. Keep sharing this knowledge. Teacher. We have Harry Robinson sent a super chat. He said, peace to the saints. Any advice on handling taxes for business? Do you aim to not paying any taxes? And do you recommend hiring a tax advisor?
You should always get a tax strategist on your team. And the purpose of that individual is to minimize your burden. No one with any money or any common sense is looking to pay money to the IRS. I mean, that's just ludicrous. So long story short, yes, you should have obviously a bookkeeper, an accountant, and as well a tax strategist, and you should try to minimize your burden as much as possible. And sometimes that comes from, the basics of where you form your corporation, which would generally be in Delaware or even in a place like Nevada is favorable. So yeah, get on that.
Okay, we have Duke Riches. This is his third super chat. He was the one going hard on the Instagram Live, the 19-year-old from Jamaica. He said, talking shit is a gift only a few are born with. I love it.
Indeed. And whether you talk crazy or not, you have to make sure that you're delivering the goods. That's the whole thing. You can't be on the basketball court talking reckless, but you can't play the game of basketball. You see, I can play the game of basketball, and talking greasy just enhances the intensity of it for me. And even better, because I have complete control of my mind, as the master Sun Tzu says, it is for you to stir without being stirred, which is to say, I'm talking greasy to stir the other players, to mess them up. But they can't say anything that's going to mess me up. If anything, if they talk back to me, it's just going to enhance me. It's going to, because I enjoy it. So they're just feeding a monster. I was just recently looking at some clips on Facebook, when they have those like rewind clips from like years ago. I saw me coming down. I was at USF, University of San Francisco, and I was coming down court on a fast break, and I could just hear people like, step up, step up. And I love hearing that. You heard me? And then dude stepped up. I just, Curry. I think that might have even been before Curry was popular. You did.
Probably.
Yes, indeed. Let's talk about the no quit mentality. Where does it come from? There are many ways to develop the no quit mentality. In the black box, which link is in the description, I describe where I got the no quit mentality. No quit means if it's boxing, we're not going to stop until he gets knocked out or I get knocked out, but I'm not waving the white flag. Whatever the game is, I'm going all the way. That's a no quit mentality. That means you've made a decision and cut off all other possibilities. You cannot be reasoned with. It cannot be discussed. You've made your decision. And as a man, when you make a decision, it should be strong. And you should not let anyone back you away from it if it's the right decision. Now, where this mentality came from is, you'll find it in chapter 14. It's called Pusherman. I'll give you a sneak peek of it. When I was 7 years old, because we were poor, my mother would have me go door to door selling candy. You see, she was jobless. And so she'd have me knock on these doors in these wealthy neighborhoods. And there was one particular door I knocked on, and a grumpy older man answered the door. And he says, "Don't you see my sign?" And I looked, and it was a small placard. And the placard read, "No soliciting." He said, "I got a no soliciting sign for a reason." And he was essentially saying, I don't want you here trying to sell me shit, which fair enough. So we left. I'm a 7-year-old boy, and I made sure to take note of the no soliciting sign and the meaning. We carried on going door to door, trying to sell this candy so that we could survive. We came upon another door, and I pointed out to my mother. I said, "Hey, Mom, that sign says no soliciting. We can't knock on this door. We can't sell anything here." And my mother says, "What do you have to lose? Make them tell you no. Don't tell yourself no." Which is to say that, sure, there's a no soliciting sign. which is going to deter the great majority of people. Losers, you might call them, suckers, you might call them. But winners look at the no soliciting sign and say, I get it. But there's something behind this door that I need. So it's getting knocked on. Behind this door is opportunity. And what you find out in life is that you're pretty much walking upon closed doors. Very rarely do you come upon a door, it's wide open, the carpet is there, and it's red just like this velvet shirt, right there for you to walk on in. Opportunity rarely looks like that. Opportunity more likely looks like a closed door that you got to bang on. And then somebody opens it and they're the gatekeeper and you got to get past them. That's what opportunity looks like. It looks like hard work. So we went to that door and knocked on it because my mom told me to. And she told me, I'm not telling myself no. You got to tell me no. So they answer the door and I give them my sales pitch. I'm 7, 8 years old. I give them the pitch that we had rehearsed. Same way we rehearsed it, with full intensity and confidence. And guess what? We sold some candy. And what I realized is that, well, there's a lot of people who have no soliciting signs and they still buy candy. So what I realized is that that's just to trip up the suckers and the weaklings. That's just to trip up the people who don't really believe. That's just to trip up the people who tell themselves no. So when you have a no quit mentality, a no soliciting sign, a small challenge, a stumble, a ruptured Achilles tendon, a rough background, none of those things can make you quit because you've already asked yourself, if it's game time, am I a player? If it's wartime, am I a warrior? Well, if the answer is yes, let us carry on. What we slowing the show up for? Because the show must go on. You're caught up? Fantastic. So I encourage you all, have a no quit mentality. It ain't over till you said it's over. Huh? Give you some time to send in your thoughts, questions, comments. Fantastic. Was there anything else I wanted to tell the people about? Next time we come on, there is one pair of shorts. I think it's the last pair in the custom set that we did that will be available. The only reason I haven't posted them is because I need to check and see what the waist size is for those shorts. I think I've concluded my notes here. Good. Excellent. I just wanted to arm you with that perspective on no quit. Now, people might say, Marquett, aren't there times when you should quit something? Yeah, for sure. But it's rare. And it's even more rare if you're wise enough to select the right things to do. The problem is we often get distracted doing things just because other people want us to do them, or doing things just because it seems like everyone else is doing it. Sometimes college is what everyone's doing, so we do it. Or everyone's going to the military, so we haven't planned anything for our future, so we go to the military. And that'll get you in trouble because when you're doing that, you're often not being yourself. You fail to look within and figure out who you really are and what's meant for you. And as long as you're failing to see what's meant for you, you're going to be on the wrong path, which means you will be missing your blessings. And you will be failing to capitalize on the unique skills and abilities that you have. Me, I did the foolish thing of joining a program called Teach for America, for I wanted to help people, which is true. And I do still consider myself a teacher. But I never felt like I fit in as a teacher because I did not. I was greater than that profession. I don't say greater like I'm better than it, meaning I was greater than it in as much as that is not where I was meant to be. I had greater things for me. And I remember one time when I was teaching in Philadelphia, I was teaching 11th grade. There was one African-American young lady, and she said, Mr. Burton, you too cool to be a teacher. And it was one of the truest things I'd ever heard. When she said you're too cool to be a teacher, it not only meant like cool in the sense of like you're not like nerdy like the other teachers. And those other teachers were probably good students. I wasn't even a good student in high school. Like, why did I think I should become a teacher? It's silly. But she also meant like too cool in the sense of like you're cool with the students, you're friendly, you're more uh you're more palatable. Like we get along better with you. We don't feel like there's a great distance between us. And she was right. I was out of place. And so much of what I encourage you to do is to be brave enough to find your place in the world. The challenge is that sometimes we hear someone else being successful at something and we think, oh, maybe I can do that. You might see someone on YouTube and you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna try out YouTube. Well, just because they're good at it or they've been successful doesn't mean you should do it. Not everything is for everyone. Instead of looking out, you have to start looking in. That's something we fail to do because no one teaches us how to introspect, how to look in the mirror. We're always busy looking in the cell phone. And when we look in the cell phone, we see everybody else. We don't see ourselves.
Okay, we have Wade. He sent the super chat earlier. He said, I missed part 1. Is it posted?
Part 1 is available for the members. Yes.
And Wade's a member because he had the consultations. Yeah.
It's an emperor.
Yes.
So yes, you can access it.
We have Eddie. He just said, I need one of those velvet shirts. Eddie, we did announce a giveaway for the members.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
Join one of the member sites or Patreon and you can be entered in the giveaway.
Yep. And I'll be posting it and just list your size and we'll randomly select one and we'll get that off to you. And we'll be paying the the shipping and everything. So it'll be our gift to you.
Okay, we have Duke Riches back with his 4th super chat. He said, are there blockades you won't break or any lines you won't cross when getting what you want? Or is anything and everybody fair game?
Well, every man should have principles. So if you're not violating your principles, then carry on. But let me say this. If you're going up in competition against someone else, if you have things that you're not willing to do to win, you're not a real competitor. You feel me? So when people, the psychotic fans of Deontay Wilder, who's not a boxer, he's a fighter, but he's not a boxer. He was dominated by a superior boxer, superior strategist, not only a strategist inside of the squared circle, but Tyson Fury is also a strategist outside of the squared circle. He's really thinking on a high level. People said Tyson Fury cheated and used egg weights in his gloves. Who knows if that's true? We cannot prove it. If it is true that Tyson Fury did use egg weights, then I have to salute him because he was able to take an advantage. And if you really desire to win more than anything else, you will seek to take every advantage. You'd be a fool not to. So what you're going to find out when you compete at the highest levels is that everyone's trying to carve out an advantage. In fact, in business, if you ever get an MBA or if you study for a bachelor's in entrepreneurship, you'll hear this term that they use. They say, what is your unfair advantage? Investors will often ask you this. If you present your technology, they say, okay, Marquett, well, you're going to create a technology for blah, 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 blah. How do we know someone else can't create the exact same technology? What's your unfair advantage? And what they're basically saying is, what can you do that no one else can do? Or what barrier can you put up to stop people from doing what you do? Unfair advantage, which means that, yeah, you got to do what it takes to win. And if you're not willing to do what it takes, be willing to admit what's real, which is you're not a champion. You're not the best at that.
We're going to throw a disclaimer because last time you told that story, we got that really long message from the kid who stole from his work.
Oh, yeah, the thief.
Yeah.
One thing, there's a couple things I just do not agree with. I don't agree with sex crimes. I don't condone sex crimes. I don't condone theft, which is different than robbery. I don't condone theft. I don't condone serial murder, meaning you're randomly killing people. I don't condone that.
Okay, we have Zanaria. He sent the super chat. He said, peace to the saints, tuition.
Peace to the saints.
We
one of the saints that I had the pleasure of meeting in a consultation. And I always like when I can put a face to name and there's a real relationship. And I just, on this point, I want to make a quick note. I get messages all the time of people asking me for things, and I don't appreciate it at all because they're strangers mostly. But it's a radically different experience. If I've had a consultation with you and you ask me for something, it's more like a friendly level. It's more like there's some reciprocity. I'm at least familiar with you. And so I just want to let people know that within our culture, We don't promote usury. We do promote be good to good people. So if you know someone to be a good person, then it's a beautiful thing to help them. But if I've never done a consultation with you, I don't know you, sending your LinkedIn URL will mean nothing to me. I'm not going to look at it. I'm not familiar with you. We've never spoken. It's important to me that we've spoken before you start asking me for favors. That is no way to build a relationship. And I want you all to understand as you network and try to grow your success in the world, don't ask people for favors. Instead, offer service. And that's one thing I really prided myself on as a young man is that I always would come to people and say, how can I help you? What can I do for you? Or more intelligently, I would just get it done and say, hey, I did this for you, with the hope that generally people like to return like for like.
Okay, we have Northeast Marco who said, I'm just trying to do right in a world full of wrongdoing. Any advice on staying focused and avoiding the temptations of life?
The temptations are fewer when you have goals that move you. For example, I can promise you, if I have a fight coming up, boxing match, I don't feel tempted to indulge in rich foods because I ask myself, what's more important to me, a chocolate cake or the pride of standing over another man while he's been knocked out cold? What's more important to me, a chocolate cake or getting exhausted in the boxing ring and then having my ribs broken? The decisions become really easy when you've identified a goal that's powerful to you.
Okay, we have Eric said, I just bought the Block Box. Peace to the Saints.
He is speaking the truth. I see that he has purchased it.
We
Shout
have
out to Eric.
Jalen Dorsey. He said tuition. He said peace to the Saints.
Peace of the Saints.
We have Carlos. This is his second super chat. He said, do you believe in listening to subliminal affirmations to change thinking process?
I believe in changing actions. So do things differently, and sometimes progress comes inch by inch. It's okay as long as you can make some forward movement. Sometimes we think things have to be radical. They don't have to be. It's nice when they are, but as long as you can get yourself a centimeter forward, that's the key. For example, if you'd like to be able to run 13 miles, go ahead and start running 13 steps, then run 30 steps, then run 50, then run a block, then, just inch it up. But the thing is, get moving, stop talking and start walking. A lot of this stuff, people use subliminal messages and all this stuff. It's so that they don't have to work. You're going to have to break a sweat if you want to catch a check. You did.
We were talking about that. People are talking about manifestation and no, do stuff.
Right.
Like thinking about it is not going to make things change.
Right. Can someone DM me on IG that quotable? You're going to have to break a sweat if you want to catch a check. I like that one. You heard me? That sounds like something I told to a street stroller. Okay. Girl, you got to break a sweat if you want to catch a check.
Okay. We have Ben. He sent a super chat. He said, you truly have inspired me to quit smoking that brain cell killer. It's been a week, so I think maybe it's been a week since he's quit smoking. Mm-hmm. And he said, but what do you think about the Airbnb business model?
Well, that depends on if you're asking me from the perspective of Airbnb, meaning you are Airbnb, or a person who's listing their property on Airbnb. But clearly the Airbnb business model has been wildly successful. And I think that it's a great model in the technology industry. And when I create technologies, I like to leverage similar smarts, which is to say that Airbnb owns zero real estate, but they're able to make a lot of profit off of real estate, which is an indicator that they've been a very instrumental and critical linchpin in that industry. So it's smart. They're a very thin layer of technology, but still a linchpin that's able to pull in monstrous profits. Compare them to Uber, which Uber has gone around the world and failed in a lot of markets. And for quite a bit of time, they were not very profitable. So I think that Airbnb has been a better run tech business.
Okay, we have Subadai. He sent a super chat. He said, listening to you reminds me of who I am and always strive to be. Salute, peace to the saints.
Thank you, Subadai. Peace to the saints. That's one of the saints in Saint City. You did.
We have Johnny Black. He sent tuition. We have Justin. He said, peace to the saints. What is your thought process before handling disrespect in public?
It depends on the nature of the disrespect. Sometimes when someone disrespects you, they look foolish. And so it would be more player of you to just let it slide off of the shoulder. You see, if someone is an ant and you're clearly a giant and they disrespect you in public and people look at the two of you and they're like, Marquett could easily sleep, old boy, with a good 1-2. no problem. If that's abundantly clear, you need not demonstrate. If this is a person just popping off at the lip and it's not going to come to anything, if there are no relevant onlookers, if they're not creating culture that's aimed against you, then you might be able to let it go. But in other cases, you need to smash the ant with a sledgehammer. And the nature of the sledgehammer will depend on the circumstance. And yeah, but you always want to be strategic when you're making a move. Now, me personally, admittedly, sometimes I'm not entirely clear on how I'm going to react. But at the end of the day, I generally don't like disrespect. I'm going to pretend as though I'm like out here happy go lucky because I'm not.
You do normally think. I'm thinking of that time we were in the restaurant area in the city that we're in, and we went and sat at the table after those guys bumped into you.
Right.
And then you stood, like, you sat there and thought about it. Okay, I'm going.
You know, it wasn't that I thought about doing something, it's that I tried my best to let it go.
Yeah.
And I couldn't let it go.
Yeah.
So Bridge is referring to a situation very quickly. We were out at a resort and we had walked by there, two white guys. So it's Bridget and I, so me and a female, and then two white guys walked by and bumped me. And then I look at them for them to say, excuse me or something, but they like act like it was nothing to them. And I was like, oh, okay. So like they think they the big homie. Okay. And I was like, I'm gonna just let it go because I had my like food and everything. I was like, we're just gonna sit down and eat. I'm gonna just let it go. But I couldn't let it go. And so next thing you know, I done walked up on both of them and I said, look, you disrespected me. I'll knock both of you out. And we could get it in right here, right now. We could take it outside, but we got to get this in, lest you say you scared. And that, unfortunately, that was not a rational decision. That's just a result of how I was conditioned in my environment that I grew up in. I can't let certain things go. So I like, basically it was just me snapping. Like my mind was like, nah, they got to pay. And shocker, when I pulled up on them and I said, hey, let's get this work in, suddenly they're all nice guys. Suddenly they don't want any smoke. Why? Because they're sweet. And you could have a dozen lambs, a dozen antelope, and they can't stand up to one lion. And that's not the only time that's happened. You remember one time we were by the wind and we were walking by and there's three guys.
And they bumped into me.
And they bumped into Bridget. And when if a female's with me, hey, let somebody lay some hands on her, we got to throw hands. Like, ain't no discussion. We getting it in.
I thought those guys were dying, all three of them.
Yeah. No, that was about to be all bad. Shocker. They didn't want the smoke.
You offered all three of them.
Yeah, it was going to be a 3-on-1. And I don't mind the 2-on-1 to 3-on-1. You heard me? Because I've gotten it in like that before. No problemo.
Okay, we have Breezy. He sent tuition. We have Ace Fast. He said, my guy, where the hell you get that silk shirt? It's not silk. He said, gotta grab me one.
Peace to the
Saints.
Saints.
And then we do have Germ. He said, peace to the Saints. How do you enter the drawing for that lovely velvet? So if you want to announce that one more time.
Yes. For the members at patreon.com/the Saint and the Sinner spelled out, or any of the member sites, I'm going to make a post per usual. We do a lot of giveaways in the past. We've given away gift cards. We've given away hats, shorts, hoodies, you name it, posters, pretty much anything we've given away. Cell phone cases, all kinds of stuff. So basically what I'll do is I'll post like, hey, we're giving away a velvet shirt, long sleeve, post your size, and then we'll go through randomly. We'll select a person. We'll get your mailing information and we'll send it out to you free of cost.
Okay, we have a Duque. I'm not sure if this is the same Duque on a different account or a new Duque, but he said, how often do you act instantly when you think back later? You realize you might have been too aggressive.
You know what? Rarely in life do you lose for being too aggressive. Or shall I say, rarely in life do I lose for being too aggressive. You see, because I'm reasonably calibrated. I grew up in a very rough situation and I've moved into the civilized world, and having the mix of the two, I'm pretty well calibrated on how to react. And so I never suffer from being aggressive, but I can tell you many times I failed to be aggressive enough and I suffered. So if I had to pick between being too aggressive and not aggressive enough, I would always prefer to go Rambo. You dig? And the truth is my nature is more likely to go Rambo than to go soft. So in the instances where I don't go Rambo, it's because I'm telling myself like, calm down, don't do it. I can only think of one instance in life where um, I decided to calm down and it was good for everybody. It only happened one time because every other time I went yay yay. And you can read about that in the black box. I'll tell you which chapter that one is in. And that was basically a situation. The only reason I didn't go Rambo is because there were a bunch of children present, and it was kids that I worked with in an after school program. I was a recreation leader in high school, and like I was right in front of my job, and like literally all the kids were there. But to be honest with you, if it was just kids and I didn't know the kids, I would have went yay yay. But it was a different thing because those kids looked up to me as a father figure. So I wasn't about to act up in front of them like an animal. Let's see. I think this one, yes, it's chapter 25. It's entitled Not in Front of the Kids. And that's the one time everything in my soul wanted to go yay yay, and I had to hold it in.
Okay, German asked about the giveaway. He said, "Thank you, Peace of the Saints. Also, I'm a new member on Patreon, so welcome."
Welcome, indeed. Let everyone welcome him. He's a member. He's one of us. He's a Fiayish.
We've had quite a few members the past couple of days.
Indeed.
Yep. We have Johnny Black. He sent another super chat. He said, "What's your advice for a young man like me who moved out of the hood due to massive killings, isolated myself from family and friends, and trying to elevate? I'm a third-year apprentice plumber."
Carry on. Sounds like you're doing all the right things. Carry on. The number one goal that you should have is to establish some foundations that will help you with your mental stability. And what I mean is that when you've separated yourself from all that you know environmentally, as well as your family, now you need ties, you need roots. And so you should try to establish some good friendships to make sure you are rooted. It's important. I also noticed that there was a character in the comments who asked why I he writes, he was going to fight Fresh and Fit and Mr. Organic. What?
I deleted that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's strange. I don't know. It seems like it's a different person. By the way, we don't engage in gossip. Number one, these are all lies that people are making up. I don't know why. Don't be an internet nerd and don't be a female gossiping. Number one, I've never met Mr. Organic. People said that I was the freshest who would ever come on the show in terms of apparel. And I said, that's correct. I can dig it. And then one person said, I don't know, Mr. Organic was pretty fresh. And then I made the obvious assertion that, well, he may be fresh, but what he did not do is he didn't wear all of his own stuff from head to toe. And the clear reality was that my shoes were handmade, my pants were handmade, my coat was handmade, my shirt was my own, my hat was my own, my watch was my own, my jewelry was my own. Every single thing I was wearing was made by me except my underwear. Everything.
Same with right now.
And same with right now. Everything was made by me. So I said, yeah, he may have been fresh. He probably wasn't this fresh, but he may have been fresh. But you cannot compare that to a man who is so self-made that everything they have on was made by them. Yeah, you go buy Gucci, Louis, and Pookie and Dookie and wear all these other people's stuff, but don't compare that to this. Now, is that disrespect? No, that's not disrespect. That's just me saying we self-made out here. You heard me? We promoting our own brands out here. It's a different thing. It's different. And if he is who you guys think he is, I don't know who he is. I'm not even familiar with him. I don't even know what he looks like. All I know is that if he's really a top tier guy, when I said that, he'd be like, that's boss talk. You heard me? That's boss talk. And if he's super player, he should enjoy the conversation. You heard me? Players love to, swap, spit, and talk shit. So, there's no way in hell somebody's going to go on the show if somebody says, hey, you're the freshest guest, except the center. I expect them to speak up on that. You dig? I expect that. And I'm not going to take any offense because I'm super player. You heard me? Now, they're going to be lying when they say they're fresher than me. You're damn sure, because they ain't dripping in their own wear. You heard me? They're wearing something that some stranger made. You dig? So that don't compare.
People are loving that shirt.
Yeah, exactly. And who made the shirt?
You did.
Right. So that's what I'm telling them is don't compare me to people who are wearing other people's shit. Like I am Gucci. they're wearing Gucci, but I am Gucci. Don't compare me. But shout out to Mr. Organic. I don't know who he is. I'm sure he's a great guy. I'm sure he's a very informative internet dude. I don't know what he does. I mean, hell, if he's successful, I want him to keep winning. But he ain't fresh like this. Carrying on.
Okay, we have a Duque. He said, I think this is his 5th one now, possibly his 6th. He
Big
said,
time.
Yes,
Flex.
ma'am. It's a Duque, aka Duke Bridges, aka Dada Don Duke. He sent his first Instagram badge. He said his first time tuition just the other day. Right. And now he's been here 5 more times today.
Yes, sir. It's like that. And that's why there's hierarchy in this world, because some people don't carry their own weight, and then you have other people who carry everybody's weight. You dig? They say, hey, like, I got broad shoulders. Put the weight on my back. I got this. It's nothing. You dig?
Like the guys in Zanzibar carrying our suitcases.
Oh, them brothers were strong. Them boys were strong. And by the way, for the people who are in the comments saying goofy things like, why did you disrespect Mr. Organic? Like, those are devils. Saints, I want you to understand, those are devils. Number one, I never disrespected the gentleman. I don't even know who he is. Number two, the fact that they would try to create that narrative, those are devils, feminine devils. And I want you to be attuned to people who try to spread things like this. You know, and they even try to bait you into doing evil things. You'll see people go in the chat, and it's never the people who super chat, because devils are broke. They're broke. Haters are broke, because wickedness will not let you prosper. They're always the people who can't afford to super chat. They're in there saying goofy things like, well, what do you think of so-and-so? What do you think of so-and-so? Just trying to get you to say something negative so that they can be entertained, because they're wicked, and so only negativity entertains them. It's a sad thing.
Are we dropping those shirts? Someone's asking.
Are we dropping these?
Yeah.
I need to get on it. And shout out to Drug Hours, because he did reach out to me, and I need to get back to him. I've just been very busy. I'm still working out the numbers on this so that we can get everything set up. You dig? So not only do we plan to drop it, it'll be a limited run. So I want to let you know, get it while the getting is good, because once it's done, I don't want to hear anybody saying, oh, Quet, you going to come back out with the velvet? Hell nah. You should have got it early.
And speaking of getting early, we're the backpacks right now. I don't think we plan on doing another run of those.
Oh, right.
We're coming down to the end.
Put the link to the backpack briefcase in their forum. Yes, indeed. And here you go. You have people who think they're intelligent. You have Simon Alex Heaton. He writes, Hitler wasn't broke. LOL. Now, what kind of feminine thing is that where you put laugh out loud? Do you think he's at home laughing out loud, Bridget?
I told you I never use LOL because I don't ever sit and laugh out loud.
Right. It's like something a dumb broad would say.
I've never used LOL in any message.
And also you're a goofball when you're trying your best to contradict people so that you can look intelligent. I would take out time to explain, but I don't even want to address this kind of person because they're an idler.
Okay, we have Carlos. I think this is his 3rd one. He said, one experiment showed that when people repeated out loud what they were learning, the speed of their learning and their ability to apply that learning to other situations increased.
That makes sense. That definitely makes sense.
Okay, we have Noir. He said paying tuition.
Peace to the saints. All right. I think I've been exposed to the public enough. I'm going to go ahead and address these last Cash Apps, and then we're going to roll out for the benefit of being here has expired. So we got to roll.
Yep.
By the way, shout out to the members. I truly appreciate the members, the people who, support the work, the people who are sincere. And, we'll have thousands of people watching live, and they have never once donated. They've watched hundreds of videos, gotten all kinds of games. They've never once donated. And many of them, in fact, can't even do the simple thing of clicking the like button. It just shows the state of the society.
Okay, we have a Duque back again. He said, how much money would I need to purchase the backpack when you stop producing them? It wouldn't be possible then.
Yeah, it would be impossible at that point.
Because it probably costs $2,000 just to do like a one-off.
Right, to do a one-off, it would cost you a tremendous amount of money. But the thing is that we're not doing the things for the money. That's why we do the limited runs, right? So when it's done, it's done. Like, for example, there's a lot of products that people want us to bring back. Like, if you've ever seen my reflective hoodie, I got this reflective hoodie. Even Bridget asked me to bring it back. There's a reflective hoodie. It says the saint in the center, and it like glows in the dark. And everybody wants that hoodie coming back. Nah, it ain't coming back. If you got it, use a real one. And I know you were with me early. If you ain't got it, hey, life is like that. Shout out to Lori, writes, thank you, having a hard time grieving my aunt. Well, let everyone wish more peace to Lori. It is always a unfortunate thing to lose a good family member.
Okay, we have Johnny Black. This is his third super chat.
Mm-hmm.
He said, any suggestions for creating new friends and rebuilding roots during all these restrictions and lockdowns? I'm kind of a heavy loner.
Don't be. Number one, you got to get outside and get into activities. So, whether it's joining a club or more importantly, taking classes, whether it's a language course, a salsa dancing course, a boxing course, getting in the gym, doing yoga, whatever you need to do, you have to get out on the scene like a sex machine. That's how you build relationships. And then also doing work. Just earlier today, I was working on a technology with two of the saints. Men really build relationships over work and achievement. Shout out to Davis, comes in via Cashapp. He writes, I found your background very fascinating. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Well, speaking of, doing the work with the Saints, also come to the conference and meeting other like-minded
people.
people.
That's a good point. Yeah, absolutely. Come to the conference. A lot of successful people are introverts. They're not necessarily loners. That's a bit of a pejorative term, but they're introverts. And it's nice for you to have the opportunity to be among one another, accomplished men who are ambitious. So I do recommend you come to the conference. There are people coming all the way from Europe as well as Africa. And you can send $6.49 via PayPal or Cash App to secure your space at the conference, and we'll reply to you confirming, hey, we've received it. I also just talked to one of my technologists today, and I'm going to have a session on NFTs. I know people ask about NFTs all the time, so we're going to do a session on NFTs. And so if you are wondering about it as an investment vehicle or even from a technological standpoint, he'll be there to answer your questions. He'll give a lecture on it. It'll be good stuff.
Okay, we have Mitch McCauley. He said, peace to the Saints. If I may ask, how did you counter/deal with people who were copying the Fletch auto attendance business model software?
Bruh, when we really came onto the scene in a strong way, now, mind you, I invented this category, like I invented this vertical, which is to say there's no such thing as automatic attendance before I created it. And then all of a sudden, a few years later, there's like 3 or 4 companies coming out. And ironically, my company, when we created the technology, we were headquartered in Chicago. The first copycat came out of what city? Chicago. It was curious. They even tried to get one of the same investors that we had. And our investor came to us and said, hey, have you ever heard of these guys? They're stealing your stuff, which is fine. It happens. You see, when you're winning, people want to do what you do. So it's understandable. The best you can do is create barriers to their success, continue winning and continue growing, and try your best to crush them. But competition is life. You should expect it.
Okay, we have Breezy. He said, peace. This is my first time giving as I'm just 17. This is actually his second suite.
Wow.
He gave tuition a little bit earlier too.
Indeed.
He said, hope to join the Patreon once my business takes off. Any advice for a young playa?
Peace to the youngsters, man. It's a beautiful thing. Number one is keep your mentality that you have right now, which is one of investment. You sent in tuition. It's a beautiful thing. Most people have a peculiar view of money in that they want to hoard it and hold on to it, whether they're trying to hold on to great wealth or they're trying to hold on to their last penny. Those mentalities in both cases are bad. What you should know is that money is a tool. And if you understand it to be a tool, you will have no fear in investing it, whether you're investing it in a course that's going to help you get to the next level, or you're investing it into inventory so you can get a bulk order of products so that you can sell them and make yourself a buck. Okay. So make sure you understand money, and also make sure that you have faith in yourself. As a young man, the worst thing you can do is have fear and lack of faith. So I want you to believe that you can do fill in the blank, whatever that is. When I was your age and I was at University of California, Berkeley, having went to an underperforming high school, I didn't believe I could be successful in electrical engineering and computer science. So I chose a waste of time major, i.e. political science, which was a total waste. It was easy and I breezed through it. If I could do it over again, I would embrace the challenge. I would do the thing I was scared of. That's the most important thing you can know as a young man. Thank you for that tuition, Saint. And I just want to identify, if you're at home and you're an adult and there's a 17-year-old sending in tuition and you don't think you have enough to send in $2-3, don't send it in. Hold on to it. but at least think about the example that the young person is giving to you, and think about what that should tell you about yourself, and like do some real reflecting and ask yourself, like, damn, why do I feel so broken and impoverished? I don't say that to insult anyone. I just say that because I really want to get you thinking, because you're never going to get to the other side of achievement until you have true understanding. And the reason I say that is because when you're holding on to like $5, $6, and you feel like it's relevant, you're thinking too small. You'll never get to the millions of dollars when you think $5 or $10 is significant. I hope you understand the point I'm trying to get across to you. I'm trying to help you understand that money is an exchange.
Someone did ask when the conference is. I want to confirm that I have the dates correct. April 22nd to 24th.
Yeah, and also if they scroll back in the community tab, it'll be there. But yeah, it's essentially like the weekend before April 26th.
Yeah. Okay, we have Aduke back again. He said, if you were curious as to why I don't buy it now, it's a similar reason as to what I said about meeting you after I make 200K. So he wants to make 200K before he meets you and gets the bag. Jackson Y said PayPal.
Oh, sure.
We have Javi. He said, great wisdom. How do I approach comments or females telling my friends he looks like a player, he looks like a ladies' man?
That's okay. I mean, hey, at the end of the day, it sounds like you're a wolf, not in sheep's clothing, but a wolf in wolf's clothing. It gets like that. The truth is that there are a great number of women who will be attracted to you for that very reason, whether they say it or not. You don't need to defend yourself against everything. Some things you just have to say, that's not true, and carry on. Because sometimes you look more guilty when you're trying to defend yourself. Jackson comes through via PayPal. He writes, I train, but what's the best intimidation strategy to back the other person's down since the streets are unpredictable? Unless violence is inevitable, of course. Well, number one, I don't think you should necessarily be trying to use intimidation strategy on the streets if there's nothing behind it, because the very most dangerous thing you can do is try to intimidate someone who is not intimidated. And you try to act like you with it and they really with it, things are going to go left very quickly. So I recommend you don't try to intimidate. It's like, hey, either you with it or you ain't with it. And there's nothing wrong with walking away. We don't always have to be the tough guy. You see, in my book, actually, there's a great story about someone who thought they were about to intimidate me. It ain't work.
Probably a couple of them.
There's a lot of, right? Like a lot of people, for some strange reason, be thinking I'm the little homie. And this is a good story. You dig? I'm gonna tell you which chapter it was. This was a good story. Let's see. I think it's chapter 38, entitled "You Can Take a Boy Out of the Ghetto." And in this chapter, long story short, it was a summer in Berkeley, and I was at a nightclub, and this guy from Oakland thought he was a real goon, and he knew I was a Berkeley student, so he thought I was a real sucker. And he was in there with all of his people, and I was in there with just me and one of the homies and a couple chicks. You heard me? And he tried to flex on me. He thought I was gonna back down because he was with a whole bunch of people. Not only did I not back down, I turned up. You see, intimidation don't work. And let's just say the whole club got shut down because it went up. You did. We tore the whole club up. So I say don't use intimidation unless you got something behind it. Intimidation works when people could feel that there's something behind it. You walk up on a real wolf and he could feel that you faking the funk, things don't get stinky.
Okay, we have Jay Gestapo. He said, others often compliment my perspective as insightful and intelligent, but you, Mr. Burton, are a rare gem. In due time, I will become a member. Keep pimpin' playa.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Saint.
We have Man came in with a baller alert. He said $50.
Oh, baller alert.
He said, for the losers in the comments, at least donate if you're going to expose us to your negativity. Peace to the saints.
Right.
So he said $50 just to help people donate.
Just to pimp slap their face, huh?
Right. Okay, we have someone named Anthony P. He said, you for real don't smoke or drink. I never meet anyone over the age of 16 who don't smoke or drink. Even my granddad, who is 60, smokes and drinks daily. He for real does not smoke or drink.
Saints.
No caffeine, nothing.
Saints. We are in wicked times. We are in such wicked times. It saddens me when people, I've heard this before, they say they don't know anyone who lives a pure life. We are in wicked times. And that's why when I see people in the comments saying things like, oh, you're talking about Mr. Organic, I'm like, this is what you're focused on? We're living in such wicked times. I'm here to spread a message of goodness, and you're detracting with your stupidity. We're in wicked times. And that's why I shout out to the members, because they're always going to get good game. You dig? They're always going to be able to get those lectures that are uninterrupted, pure game. Shout out to the members.
Perk 30 said, I remember that chapter. You sprinted home, right?
Bruh, we turned up and toe up the club. Whew, things was going crazy. And then your boy had to get up out of there. It was quite a story. I'm not gonna spoil it for the real ones who have the book or the ones who just purchased the book. You dig?
Yeah, we have well-traveled Trace, and my copy, the Black Box, is coming tomorrow. So I guess he ordered it on Amazon.
Indeed. And if you have ordered it on Amazon, we appreciate it if you take out a little bit of time and go ahead and write a review.
Okay, we have Billy Bob said, your thoughts on President Putin?
That's a great question. And, I am uniquely positioned to speak on this. Putin is one of the most remarkable heads of state. Similar to George Bush Sr., he was involved in the intelligence community before going into office. George Bush Sr. being head of the CIA, Putin being involved in the Russian equivalent. And he was a very accomplished intelligence agent. And one of the advantages of being an intelligence agent is you have information, which means that he was able to know a lot of information about major players in Russia. And also, as Russia kind of went from Soviet era into the oligarchs, into the Russian state that you have today, which is dominated by Putin. Indeed, he is the shadow dictator of Russia, and he's very highly regarded among his people, for he is indeed a strong man. And he's also fairly straightforward in his words. So I have a lot of respect for him. I think he is a very formidable enemy to the United States. And I think that one thing I like about the way the Russians do things is that it's pretty straightforward. You feel me? Like there's nothing goofy going on there. And the truth is they have inferior resources for the most part, and they've been able to contend with America and America's level of influence quite effectively under Putin. So he is to be respected and feared.
Okay, we have Justin. He said, how to steer someone away from negative conversations, such as a friend or a girl you're seeing?
Well, don't participate in it and then start a new conversation. But if you find that this is in their nature, it might be wiser to spend less time with them.
Okay, we have the Compliment King said, peace, man. Can you speak more about the significance of or not of copyright, trademark, etc.? You touched on this recently. I'd like to hear more. Thank you.
It's generally insignificant because most of us are so arrogant that we think we've come up with a new idea, and typically we haven't. I get DMs all the time, mostly from people who are overestimating their intelligence and education, and they'll say, Marquett, I have the most amazing idea I want you to invest in. And I'm just thinking, I'm pretty confident that idea is not amazing before I even click on your message. And 9 out of 9, the idea is not amazing and the idea is not new. And even if it is a decent idea, they don't even have the skill set to execute on it, nor do they have the capital. And I'm not an investor. I have no interest in being an investor into high risk startups. And if I did invest, I wouldn't invest into someone who has no money to where they need me to bankroll the whole thing. But anyways, to your question about intellectual property, it's a very expensive thing to get protection for. So if you have to hire an attorney, it's going to take a significant amount of time for the attorney to actually put together the portfolio and then submit it to the patent office. And the PTO takes a long time to confirm your intellectual property. And mostly they're going to reject it and say that you don't have significant intellectual property. And here, let me give you a funny note as well. And I know this having lived in South Korea, because South Korean companies often mimic American companies, because what happens is China and Korea, much of the Asian market, They'll block out American technologies and then they'll duplicate the technology and call it something else. Uh, I think that Google Maps in Korea is called Naver. I think that WhatsApp is called Kakao. So they have like their own version of everything we have, even of Facebook. So I think Naver is maybe like a hybrid of Facebook and Google Maps. I forget. It's been a long time. But the point is this: even Samsung, they'll duplicate like the style of the iPhone hardware. And Apple has sued Samsung many times. And, sometimes Samsung wins, sometimes they lose. But the point is this: even if you get a trademark protection, you're still going to have to lawyer up when there's a violation so that you can prosecute the offenders. Because most often, sending a cease and desist is not going to work if the company's making money off of stealing your intellectual property. Further, sometimes you don't even have to file a mark. Like if you're considering something like a name, like Fletch, for example, which we do have a trademark for. Fletch, there's something called usage. So if you start using a mark for a long period of time and you become known in the marketplace under this particular name or alias, it's almost the same as actually formally registering that mark, and you still have some legal legs to stand on in terms of protecting that property. So there's precedence, a lot of it for that. But generally speaking, most people should not even consider protecting intellectual property until they've made a couple $1,000,000 from that mark. And mostly that's not the case.
Okay, we have Rade or Rod says supporting the message. We have YKN Cope said paying tuition. First year in business, looking to increase my business IQ. Would you recommend I purchase Conference 2 footage or upgrade my Visionary to boss level member on Assassin for the most game?
I recommend you purchase Conference 2 footage because it's going to be highly targeted toward entrepreneurship. And I, for a fact, know that pretty much any business education you get in America, actually anywhere in the world, because America has the best business education by far, because Americans are the best at entrepreneurship and always have been. And that's factual. That's not biased. That's factual. I say that not only from the academic sources saying that, but also from having traveled around the world and done business around the world. Americans are the innovators. It's just unparalleled anywhere. I don't care what country you name.
And I'm going to send him conference footage too. We also have 1 and 2 as a package deal where you get a little bit of a discount and you get both conferences.
Indeed.
We do have someone that said Cash App.
I'll get to it. So I have lectured at many business schools, whether you're talking about undergrad students as well as MBAs. And so I recommend that Conference 2 footage is going to benefit you a lot more. And his question was just that. Okay,
that's
great. That's it. Answered.
We have Mr. BM Bryant. He sent $20. He said, I'm here to pay what I weigh. I'm not sure if it means what I owe. I thoroughly enjoyed the Black Box. I deem it a literary masterpiece.
Thank you.
I appreciate the work you're doing. Bless up.
Peace of the saints. Thank you for that sincere compliment. Marv via Cashapp writes, what are your favorite philosophers and great men? My favorite philosopher would be Seneca. And my favorite men, I like the way that Julius Caesar moved. The gentleman was quite good at PR and marketing, and he was also a warrior king. And he created a model for all of the emperors of Rome and throughout Europe. Kind of looked at Julius Caesar as the foundation of what it is to be an emperor. I also like Napoleon Bonaparte. He was not very good with women, but he was good at doing his own thing, and he was good at self-believing. For he was a man of small stature, but he cast a big shadow. He was the big homie, even though he was the little homie, if you understand what I mean.
Okay, we have Dax Hill. He said, there's people who are working to believe there's self-fulfillment and those who are actually self-fulfilled in its purest form. I'll be joining the Messiah tier soon. Looking forward to your guidance. Peace to the saints.
Peace to the saints.
Okay, we have Breezy. This is his third super chat. He's the one that's 17. This is his first day sending tuition. He said, I've been supporting since I was 15.
Wow.
Made my day.
Wow. Peace to the saints. And you know what? This young man is living in truth. That's a beautiful thing. And it makes me want to just remind you all that the truth is so important. If you're not living by the truth, you will never progress. As long as you're lying to yourself, you'll never move forward. I kid you not. I've seen people in the comments who've wrote like, "Oh, I made $1 million on crypto. I made 100,000 on crypto. I made blah 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 on NFTs," and they're saying they made all this money, but they don't have enough money to send a super chat. So I know that they're lying, and it just saddens me. And I usually block them because I don't want them to trick other people in the comments. I don't want people in the comments to be like, "Oh, this guy's making money." No, that's not true. You can tell who's making money. Like when Jabrizi shows up, he always shows up with a 50 piece. He's making money. You see, because like when he sends $50, that's maybe like some other folks sending $3.
Man that sent $50, I feel like always says.
Yeah, man always shows up sending 50 pieces. Lots of Ivan the gentleman's always showing up. Mitchell's always showing up. Arvin's always showing up. I can go on and on and on. There's a lot of guys who are always showing up consistently. And you can tell that they're doing well. Don't let people in the comments fool you because there are a lot of liars, and even your favorite rapper is a liar. If you've ever had money, you know that the bands on money, only the yellow ones or the black ones, they're yellow or black, sometimes brown, are the 10,000 bands. When you watch rap videos and they're holding stacks of money, those bands are purple. That means they're 20s. Or the bands are yellow, or the bands are blue. So they're purple or blue, but they're not yellow. So they're not holding stacks of 10,000. And to me, if you're not holding stacks of 10,000, what are we doing here? Like, get out of here holding them stacks of 20s and ones. Like, you're a jokester. So I say that to say, like, even the people you think are wealthy are not wealthy. And then the people for sure in the comments saying that they just made this amount of money on this get rich quick scheme are lying. The reason I tell you that is because I don't want you to lie to yourself. You're never going to advance until you keep it real. And sometimes you got these online gurus who are saying, fake it till you make it. They're saying, hey, pay for an escort so you can go to an event and you can look good. That's not the way. That does not work.
Okay, we have Mitch McCauley, who you were just talking to YCAN about the conference footage too. He said, I second his statement about conference 2 footage. And Mitch, who has purchased the footage and is saying he seconds the statement, he is also going to be coming to the 3rd conference, and he sees the value in the conference after watching the footage.
And Mitchell also is a real hustler. You dig? Like Mitchell also sells products. You see, so Mitchell's a real businessman. And those are the kind of people I like and love because they're really about it. They're getting their hands in the soil, planting seeds, trying to grow up a money tree. Put your hands in the soil, saints. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, we have Giovanni. He said, where do you recommend I invest my money as a 20-year-old? I've invested in day trading and cryptocurrency. I shy away from it though. I'd like to start a business, saving up for a consultation soon.
I would invest your money into a low-cost product so that I could start the process of product-based business because it's going to take practice to get good at it. If you're 20 years old, then you put in 2 years of practice, you can mess around and be a millionaire by 23, you dig? So I would start on that. Step 1 is get education, get good expertise and advice, and then start practicing. That's what I would do. In terms of investing, I'm presuming that at your age, you don't necessarily have enough liquid capital to do traditional investing, which would be stocks, currency speculation, things like this. Or even, properly investing in crypto. So I'd probably say go the product-based business route.
Okay, we have Brendan O'Hara. He sent tuition.
Piece of the same.
We do have someone that asked how much consultations are, so I did put that in the chat, so you can take a look at that, where you can book or join as an emperor. We have Neil Fani. He said he's in a Cash App.
Neil Fani is very consistent. I also had the pleasure of meeting Neil Fani at the conference as well.
Right, so his Cash App questions in the chat. He said, can you go over the different forms of relationships a man must have? Example, friendships, romantic, etc. Also, are there still tickets available for the upcoming conference?
Absolutely. We would love to have you. And, the importance about making your name known, you see, is that's when you can get favor. So say the tickets were all sold out and then Neil Fani said, hey, are there any more tickets? If there weren't any more, I would make one more for Neil Fani. You feel me? Like guys that I know, that I like, that I've seen before. And those are the times where we can make an exception. Now, obviously, there's only so many times we can go past the limit, but those are the kind of times you can do that. And that's why I always encourage you guys to make yourself known. Now, if you're just a random person I never heard of, they're like, hey, are there any more tickets and they're sold out? Then it just is what it is. One wouldn't take the risk to bring you in. when they're unfamiliar with you. That's why we give these opportunities for people to become familiar. Shout out to Mr. Tyrese, who just bought a Assassin running belt. Happy to see that you're going to be getting that work in. Whether you're building muscle or you're a fighter, you have to have that cardio endurance. It is critical, especially if you want low body fat.
Okay, Brendan, who sent tuition, he said, can you please dive deeper into the topic of unfair advantage? Real quick, did we even answer Neil
I'm
Fani's
going to
question?
answer it
Sorry.
right now. So, Neil Fani, there are a number of relationships that you must set goals around. Always prioritize the most important relationship that is related to your other big goals. But you will have professional relationships that are related to your wealth, right? So if you're within a corporate organization, you might be thinking about the relationships you have with your managers or the relationship you need to build with senior management because they're the people who promote you. Or if you're an entrepreneur, you think about the relationships you need to build with investors or with the spouses of investors. Those are in the professional category. Networking is what some might call it, but I call it building friendships because the relationships are things you can depend on where you ask someone for something, they actually give it to you. Networking generally doesn't do that. Networking is shallow, friendships are deep. Then you have friendship, which is traditional friendship, generally among the same gender. These are critical to have because this is what allows us to get certain types of peace. Or there's a different kind of relaxation and peace that your male friend, your peer, will give you versus your female significant other or romantic interests. So you should always be maintaining and investing in your male friendships because that is what balances you when the females act crazy or when you break up. That is what is absolutely critical in life. And remember that your male friends are also a function of who you are and will help you get to the next level. Birds of a feather flock together. You want to be friends with hustlers. They can give you insights. Hanging around smart people is like reading books. So you should have goals in the area of friends. You should say, well, I want friends who drive this kind of car. I want friends who have this kind of job. I want friends who have this kind of knowledge. You should be shopping for your friends the same way gold diggers shop for men. Huh? Yeah, be strategic and thoughtful about the people who are around you. And that being said, when you set your goals in the category of friendship, you might realize some people are not good enough any longer to be your friend. Doesn't mean you need to be rude, but it does mean that you should rethink it. I see that. We'll come to it in a second. Then, in the area of romance, you need to set goals because if you want a certain kind of woman or a certain kind of relationship, you have to understand in the kind of society we're in, if you want a woman who is chaste, moral, honest, responsible, good looking, whatever you want, it might take 100 or 1,000 women to get there, meaning you got to spit a lot of game. So you should be setting goals like, I want my woman to have this profile. Then you know you're going to need to talk to 3 women a day for this amount of time. You're going to have to put yourself in certain places to meet that kind of woman. So you have to set explicit goals or else you're not going to be moving strategically. Thank you for that question.
Okay, we're going to follow up with Brendan O'Hara. He said, can you please dive deeper into the topic of unfair advantage? Where's the line between immoral cheating and capitalizing on unfair advantage? Thanks. Peace to the saints.
Immoral is a word that applies to the behavior of individuals. Ethics is a term that provides to the conduct of businesses, statesmen, public figures, and people operating in the professional sphere. Morality generally is something that is personal, something interpersonal, and then ethics is more so what you're talking about. Is it ethical to do certain things? Well, no, it's not ethical to pursue profit at any cost. But the people who are hyper concerned about that are more likely to be the people who are not good at making profit. Let it be known that generally speaking, to make profit is more ethical than to not make profit. What I mean by that is if there is no profit in this world, the world stops, for there will be no taxes collected. If there's no profit in this world, there's no taxes collected. The government can't give out basic services to poor people. Welfare, food stamps, all these aid programs come from business people who turn profit. Further, you cannot turn profit unless you're giving service, because people don't give you money for nothing. And I don't care if you're giving the service of producing a fine piece of American literature, or you're giving the service of giving a massage, whatever the case is, people pay for value. So generally speaking, making profit itself is inherently ethical. Now, there may be in some rare cases some means to making profit that are unethical, which is lying, which means that you're not giving the person what they paid for. You are tricking them. And that means you're a con artist. And that's obviously wrong. So I would not engage in that. But let me let you know, if this is the question that's occupying your mind, you probably ain't in full hustle mode yet. You probably need to spend some more time around hustlers. I used to be there. A lot of people in poverty live in that kind of thinking. I remember I was volunteering, and ironically, they had me serving drinks at a bar, even though I've never drank. I was volunteering in Baltimore to raise money for a charter school, and they had an event for wealthy donors, and I was pouring drinks, and one of them gave me $20 as a tip, and I told him, no, I can't accept that. That's because I've never been in the service industry. And right next to me was the principal of the school, and he said, "Hey, man, why'd you refuse that money?" Now, mind you, this is a wealthy Jewish guy. He's the principal of a charter school. I say, "I don't know. I didn't need it. I'm here volunteering." He was like, "No, don't you ever refuse money." Major lesson. Don't you ever refuse money. Major insights. My father never told me that. My mother never told me that. My grandmother told me quite the opposite, which is why I refused the money. Now, there in some cases, it doesn't make sense to take the money. Like, for example, if I'm building a business and someone wants to invest in it and I haven't figured out the business, I'm not going to take the money. That's just not ethical. But in the case of me giving him a service that he appreciated to the point where he wanted to tip me, that was ethical. Thank you for your question, Saint.
Okay, and you brought up earlier, people have consultations with you, you put a face to the name, you built relationships. Someone else just said, "Saying that shirt is fire."
Oh, yes.
The amount of people that have complimented the shirt, and someone else is getting this opportunity because they've had a consultation with you and they know you.
That's right. And you know what? It's real love, because I could very easily put these shirts out myself and make all the profit for myself. Instead, what I'm doing is one of the saints, whom I'm not going to name until we get everything set up, who wants this opportunity. I'm giving him the product that I took my money to develop the product. I took my money to vet everything.
Your idea, your time. Like
my idea, my time, my money, and I'm giving him the opportunity because I'm familiar with him. And I can tell you, pretty much everyone who works for me tells me not to do this. And I do this out of love. There's nothing else motivating it other than the love of wanting to see a young man successful and have the chance to put money in his pocket. That's the only reason I'm doing it.
He's a hard worker.
He is a hard worker. And I believe he'll do the right thing. Yeah. And we've had many saints who have impressed me with their organization, their dedication. Guys that come to mind: Anthony Ferguson, Steve Jimenez, Brandon Valera, Ahmed Naeem. Like a lot of these guys. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, Brian. Yes, yeah. Absolutely.
I just wanted to point that out because I can't even count the amount of people that said just on this stream alone how nice that shirt was.
Right. So I'm giving him a clear winner.
Okay, we have Brandon Baldwin. It's a baller alert.
Baller alert.
He sent $50. He said, "This is the year I meet and shake Marquett's hand."
So shall it be.
Okay, we have Marcus Hurtado. He sent a super chat. He said, "Peace to the saints. Thank you for sharing such a powerful message. I'll catch the replay tomorrow."
Indeed.
We have Dyla. He said, "I'm the saint who just bought the belt. First Cash App card was declined, so I used another. Hope I'm not charged twice. Glad to support the work myself." I already let him know he is. We'll refund. It does look like it maybe went through twice.
Okay.
We will make sure we refund you.
Absolutely. Purposes. And anytime there's ever a dispute or anything that needs to be fixed, we always fix it promptly. And to the saint who asked about ethics, when we do business, we always do business very ethically. For example, Subadai, who's actually on the call right now, every time we say, we got a 1 of 1, you can get this product. So he had purchased one of the jackets, and I had somehow ripped a small piece of the fabric. And I told him, "Hey, meet me at dinner. I'll give you your jacket." So he shows up at dinner. I observed that there was a small rip. Now, mind you, it's a reversible jacket. So it's a perfectly good jacket. One, because the rip is really small, and two, it's reversible, so you can wear it on the other side anyways. Being ethical, I said, hey, there's a small rip in this jacket. Let me show you. I couldn't even find it. I couldn't even relocate the rip to show him, but I remembered it was there. So I said, hey, I'm going to refund you 100% of your money, and I'm going to give you this jacket as a gift. Now, mind you, what I charged him for the jacket, it actually cost way more to make it because it was handmade. It was one of the first samples. So I gave him the jacket for free. I refunded his money, and I bought him dinner that night. That's ethics, and that's friendship, and that's showing love. And I hope in turn people show me the same thing back. But who you are comes in your deeds. People can make up all kinds of things about me in the chat and say silly things. It's just the minority of haters. But you'll be able to find 1,000 people who have a story, a real story of like, no, I know Marquett from real life, and he's done this for me in real life. So you can never throw dirt on a great man's name because he's done too many great things.
And if you have never, people might say they haven't received a product. We do get products shipped back to us. We do reach back out to you to say, hey, we need an address for somebody this came back. We don't always get responses. But if you feel like you've not received a product, reach out to us. Like, we will get it to you. Thousands of people have received our products. We
Absolutely.
Send them out.
Yes, we've sent out thousands of products, tens of thousands of products. And if you include my corporations, we might many products. Yes, in the instances of a few folks, especially people who don't give us the whole address, they might leave off their apartment number. The product gets returned to us, and then we'll email you and say, hey, you need to send us a completed address. And sometimes people don't check their email regularly, so we'll just have to hold on to the product until we get the response. But there's a lot of folks in the chat who I'm sure have used many of our products, and they can verify that you're good to go.
Okay, we have Rockstar Tony. He said, hanging around smart people is like reading a book. He said, funny, these live streams feel very similar to listening to an audiobook. Peace to the Samson.
Peace to the saints.
We have Derek Laval. You talk about consistency. He came up $20. He, I think, sends $19.99 every single time.
Peace to the saints.
He said, peace to the saints. Thank you for always telling people that they themselves are good enough to overcome any obstacle put in their path. Self-belief and self-love are core tenets of a great man. You are molding great men.
I appreciate that. And, this is a message that's been carried by many men throughout human history. Even Mr. Rogers would tell the children that you were born the right way and that you are worthwhile. You are special. There's nothing wrong with you. You don't need to change a thing. You're growing up just fine. And the way that you're progressing, you're going to go from a boy to a great man. And we're really missing that message. A lot of people didn't get the chance to hear that. And it is true. Everything that you need, everything that you would ever hope to be is already within you. You just have to pull it out.
Hey, Ricardo, he said, facts. They resent me the gold on gold watch as I had a typo in my address initially. And Ricardo's the only other one that has that watch that you're wearing. And we had to send it back.
Right. This one right here.
Canada.
Ooh, and people like this one. And players like Ricardo, I love that you get to have these conversations. I mean, because it's the small things in life that you come to enjoy, when you hanging out somewhere and an older gentleman, like a real baller, like an older cat who's just been balling for a long time. He's peeping your watch game, you heard me, because he got the Rolly, he got the presidential, and he peeping your watch game to see what you got. And he looking like, oh man, that's a nice watch. What kind of watch is that? You might both be waiting at the valet to get the whips or wherever you're at. He's like, what kind of watch is that? And then you got to be like, oh, this right here? Well, this is a one of one, none before, none to come. Get it? This is a handmade special. Yeah, and then you get to have a little story, talk a little bit of trash with him, you dig? And it's a fun experience. And it's an experience that occurs at the top of life, not down here. And even the guy who has on the Rolly or the Beauvais or the Hublot, they don't have the story that you have. When you really start living life, you realize life is all about the story. There's no story to this is $100,000 watch. This is a $200,000 Hublot. There's no story to that. It's not interesting. But there's a story to like, this one's handmade. There's only 2 of these. The other guy who has it is, it's fun.
Okay, we have FI Music. He said, bro, you people are operating on different levels with vision years ahead of the rest. I strive to be like you. Also, it's a very nice comment from him.
Indeed.
We have Ian Simmons, $20. He said, how many businesses in total do you have under you and how many employees? How do you go about leading those employees efficiently?
I less think about businesses and I more think about product categories. I like to be product focused, and then I think about product categories. Then, in terms of employees, the ideal thing, especially coming from the software space, is to minimize employees. And employees are expenses. So you should always try to have as few employees as possible. If you must have people working in your ends, you want independent contractors, not only for tax purposes, but also for the purposes of being able to switch people in and out of your systems. To fire an employee in many states is quite a challenging thing. And sometimes you have to give them unemployment, you have to pay unemployment insurance and things like that. So it's better to have independent contractors and have as few of those as possible. So that's what you should look to do.
Okay, Ricardo just sent a super chat. He's the one that got the watch. I also see that he caught the briefcase. He just now got it. That's the one that you forwarded me.
That's
We're
the
not
one.
going to share where that is.
Okay. Absolutely. Shout out
That's
to him.
Ricardo in Canada.
And these two pieces go perfectly together. Shout out to Miguel. It looks like he just became an emperor, so he'll get a monthly consultation with that. And also shout out to Mr. Isaac, who also became an emperor, so he'll too get a monthly
And
consultation.
email support at Marquettism.
Indeed.
Okay, we have Bjorn. He said, peace to the saints. I paid for a consultation but haven't scheduled yet due to family stuff. I'm looking for my one-on-one. The shirt is player.
Thank you. And to schedule that, just send a note to support@marquettism.com and we'll get you on the schedule. And Bjorn's a name we've heard many times.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay, I believe I am caught up as well. Saints has been truly a pleasure. Oh, actually, I was not caught up. Mr. Paul writes, always a pleasure, Mr. B, following up on my text. You text me? Let's see. Check this right now. One piece of advice, Saints, is do things immediately. I have a tremendous number of texts. Jason, can you text me like right now so you can bring it back up to the top? Because I'm having trouble finding it. I hope he's seeing this in real time. Okay, I found it. I got it right here. Let's see.
People are probably wondering how someone has your number. This is someone else that has had consultations with you and built long-term relationships.
Because I damn sure don't give out my phone number. One, because I don't even like to be around my phone. I like to be a free man. But when I am around it, I damn sure don't want it blowing up. Okay, I got it. I got you. I'm looking at your message right here. Okay. 29th, no. 31st, no. Give me something else. I'm going to reply to you right now. Okay, actually, I could do 29th earlier in the day.
So what you're responding to him, YK and Cope, this is the second super chat. He said, also just wanted to let it be known that I am very appreciative of what you do. So much priceless value given on a consistent basis. Very inspired by the Saints and what the Assassin represents. Respect.
Truly appreciate it. Peace to the Saints.
We have Citizen of Earth. He said, peace to the Saint. What are your thoughts on Canada?
I think the people of Canada are generally better educated than the people of America from my experience. I'm not talking about educational data. I'm talking about from my experience. I'm quite impressed. I think on average, the females of Canada are less materialistic and easier to talk to. They're better conversationalists. Certainly what Canada has done with the First Nations people is questionable. But all in all, I think it's a decent place. It does have some strange laws. There definitely is still an operating mafia there, an Italian mafia. There's just recently a case where the Canadian legal system showed themselves to be incompetent. They violated the rights of the mobsters and had to basically let them off the hook as a result. I think that the government is hyper liberal, and therefore the liberalism is bleeding into the schooling and the culture. and that is going to be detrimental. Undoubtedly, the Canadian access to healthcare is at some level admirable, but Canadians who are wealthy generally come to America so that they can get the finest in, higher level medical services, generally surgeries and cancer treatment. So definitely something's broken there. They're not quite proper capitalists, but I think Canada's done well in establishing themselves among nations.
Okay, we have Jalik. He said, I found your content in the summer of 2020. Ever since then, I've grown tremendously in my relationships, fitness, and now I'm working on my finances thanks to you. I appreciate your efforts to the world.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you as well.
Someone wrote a question. I'm not sure if you maybe have a Cash App or a PayPal, or they're just trying to share the question, but I'm caught up.
Shout out to Edwin, coming by Cash App. You guys, Peace to the Saints. Okay. And also, Jason, for scheduling things, always better to message support at marquettism.com, because even though you're talking directly to me, it's easier to get on my calendar talking to Bridget. But everything else, just text me in terms of product stuff, business, negotiating with manufacturers, anything like that.
And if you need a response, email me.
Oh, yeah. And if you need a response, email Bridget. Hey, I text Marquette. He ain't say nothing back.
Okay, Trey sent a super chat. He said, I don't drink, never have, never will. On the other hand, my woman does occasionally. I often find when she does drink, it bothers me slightly. What do you suggest I
do? Well, number one, I compliment you for being a man of strong principles and morals. And I also compliment you for not having forced her to try to adopt your ways. For if she's in your presence and knows how you live and she's not adopted it, that says something. Doesn't say everything, but it says something. The truth is that we must allow everyone to be who they are. Just as I tell you to be who you really are, you must allow her to be who she really is. You are uncomfortable around her drinking because you don't condone drinking. We should expect that. But you ought not badger her. You just have to accept it if you're going to accept her. If you know that you cannot accept it, then you should start shopping around for a new woman.
Okay, we have, sorry, my computer is. Gustavo sent another super chat. He said, appreciate the wisdom shared on this channel. Keep up the great work, Marquette.
Thank you. And we see that Josue is writing to schedule his consultation.
And Eric also emailed, so we have some consultations to schedule.
Absolutely. And Bridget will get you set up. Caught up on your side?
I'm caught up, yeah.
All right. I believe I am as well. I'm going to hop off and return my text messages to Jason. And we'll go from there. Saints, it has been a pleasure to be here fellowshipping with the righteous. And we know that there have been some wicked among us, but we have overcome. Let us end this with our tradition, the Creed of the Assassin. Wherever you are, repeat this with full conviction, knowing it is true of you. The Creed of the Assassin. I am going to be who I truly am because I am remarkable, and I am going to strive every moment to show the greatest part of who I am.